In 2022, BMW made an announcement that felt like corporate overreach at its finest. They revealed that in certain markets, drivers would need to pay $18 every single month just to activate the heated seats in their cars. Not to install new seats, not to upgrade anything, simply to unlock a feature that was already built into the vehicle you just purchased. The hardware was sitting right there beneath you, fully functional, but locked behind a paywall. People were outraged. BMW eventually backed down after the backlash went viral. But here's what matters. BMW wasn't really the story. They were a warning sign, a preview of where modern business is heading. Because if you look around right now, subscriptions have infiltrated nearly every corner of our lives. Welcome to Modern Magnets. I'm Dr. Bush, and today we're breaking down the subscription economy, how it spread from software to sewing machines, why companies are obsessed with it, and whether we've finally reached the breaking point. The subscription trap. The strange reality. Let's start with something unsettling. Subscriptions have gone way beyond Netflix and Spotify. We're talking about printers that stop working when your subscription ends, even when there's still ink in the cartridge. Software that downgrades itself the moment you cancel. Cars and devices that arrive fully built, but permanently locked unless you keep paying. Different industries, same pattern. It creates this strange feeling of discomfort. You're paying for things, but it doesn't feel like you actually own them anymore. Now, I'm not saying all subscriptions are inherently bad. In some cases, they genuinely make sense. But lately, it's clear that certain companies are taking advantage, and the situation is spiraling out of control. If you can believe it, Meta recently confirmed they're exploring subscription models for Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Platforms that have been free for nearly 2 decades might soon charge you monthly just to maintain access to your own social network. Think about what you're really buying with every subscription today. Permission. Access that can be changed, revoked, or repriced at any time. So we have to ask some critical questions. Why are all these companies pushing this model so aggressively? How did subscriptions become the default for everything? And where exactly is the line between consumer convenience and corporate control? In this video, we're going to trace exactly how the subscription business model infiltrated almost every aspect of modern life. And in the second half, we'll look at cases where companies clearly crossed the line. My personal favorite, clothing as a subscription service. Stay tuned for that one. The "you'll own nothing" prophecy. Before we get into the history, let's talk about a phrase that's been haunting the internet since 2016. You will own nothing and be happy. That line came from a World Economic Forum video showcasing their vision for the future. People hated it. The concept became a meme, a punchline, a symbol of dystopian corporate overreach. But here we are, a decade later, and it genuinely looks like the present day. You buy a video game, but you don't actually own it. The company can shut down the servers whenever they want, and your $60 purchase becomes unplayable overnight. Even Jeff Bezos has suggested that in the future, nobody will own a computer. It'll all be hardware in the cloud. Tesla is now pushing their full self-driving feature as a subscription. Elon Musk announced they'll remove the one-time purchase option entirely. Now, to access one of the car's most important features, you'll need to pay $99 per month indefinitely. We've entered an era where you can't even fully pay for a car anymore. You purchase the vehicle, but critical features remain locked behind monthly fees. So the question becomes, how did we get here? The history where it all began. Here's something that might surprise you. Subscriptions aren't a modern invention. Take a look back at history. In the 1660s, Samuel Pepys, a government official in England, subscribed to regular coffee deliveries in London. Publishers relied on subscription models in the 17th and 18th centuries. By the 1800s, households were subscribing to milk deliveries. In the early 20th century, magazines, record clubs, and utilities all depended on recurring payments. For most of history, the model stayed reasonable. You paid regularly, and something tangible showed up in return. That balance held for centuries, but then something shifted. The digital transformation. The version of subscriptions we see today started gradually in the early 2000s. Software stopped living on physical disks that you'd buy once and own forever. With the proliferation of high-speed internet, software became something you logged into, used remotely, and paid for continuously. Subscriptions became digital, invisible, always renewing quietly in the background. This was the rise of software as a service, SaaS for short, and at the beginning it actually seemed like a good deal. For users, the pitch was simple: convenience and lower upfront costs. No more paying $600 for Microsoft Office, just $10 a month. For businesses, however, this was pure gold. The business case for subscriptions meant predictable revenue. Instead of relying on occasional big sales, companies could forecast income months or even years ahead. Wall Street loved that stability. Investors rewarded companies that showed growing monthly active users and low churn rates. As subscriptions scaled, so did earnings. There's a chart that shows earnings growth for subscription-based businesses versus the S&P 500. And the difference is staggering. Subscription companies grow significantly faster. That success sent a clear signal across every industry. This is the future. The entertainment tipping point. One of the first industries to fully embrace this shift was entertainment. Apple helped normalize the transition. When iTunes launched in 2003, it made paying for digital media feel acceptable. You still technically owned what you bought, but the foundation was being laid. A few years later, Netflix pushed the shift much further. The company started as a DVD mailing service in the late 1990s, but when they introduced streaming in 2007, everything changed. Over the next decade, paying a monthly fee for unlimited access to films and TV became routine for millions of households. People stopped caring that they didn't actually own any of the content. Watch that psychological shift reset expectations. Spotify completed the transition for music. Launched in 2008, it was built around streaming from day one. You didn't buy songs, you didn't own albums, you just accessed them. And gradually, the entire concept of ownership quietly disappeared. The spread from there, the model spread like wildfire. Disney, Apple, and Amazon built entire subscription ecosystems around film, TV, software, and more. Gaming followed with season passes and live service models that never truly end. Then it moved into everyday productivity tools. Microsoft pushed Office into a subscription with Office 365 in 2011. One-time software licenses faded into the background. Even Windows itself started feeling less like a product you own and more like a service layer tied to cloud storage and recurring payments. By the mid-2000s, subscriptions were everywhere. Entertainment, software, news, fitness, retail perks, cloud services. Categories that used to rely on ownership now default to recurring payments. And at the same time, prices kept creeping upward. The real cost. A 2024 survey found that Americans now spend over $1,000 per year on subscriptions. Many people don't even realize it because the costs are fractured. A few dollars here, $10 there. Death by 1,000 monthly charges. Technically, the choice still belongs to the consumer. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. But here's the problem. Leaving often turns out to be much harder than joining. The dark patterns. An FTC-backed study uncovered some troubling statistics. 81% of subscription services used automatic renewal tactics. 70% failed to clearly explain how to cancel. 67% did not clearly disclose when users needed to cancel to avoid being charged again. Academic research confirms the same pattern. When cancellations require extra steps or rely on misleading design, trust drops, usability suffers, and frustration rises. These practices are rarely accidental. Subscriptions have become the default layer beneath modern life. It's a model optimized for continuation rather than consent. Once that environment feels normal, companies start pushing boundaries even further. Because if access can be sold indefinitely, the next question becomes unavoidable. How far can this go? When it went too far, at some point, the subscription model started leaking into places it never belonged. This is part of what some critics call enshittification, the process where products that once delivered clear value start prioritizing control and profit extraction over everything else. Let me show you some examples. Case 1. Washboard, laundry quarters as a service. A startup called Washboard had a brilliantly absurd idea. For $15 a month, they would deliver $10 worth of laundry quarters directly to your door. The founders argued they were solving a real problem, saving people the time it takes to hunt for coins. But most people immediately pointed out the obvious. You could just walk into any bank and exchange bills for quarters for free, or ask your landlord, or use a card-operated laundry machine. Rather than simplifying anything, the subscription was actually adding friction just so they could remove it. Washboard shut down within months. Years later, the founder admitted on Reddit that the idea wasn't meant to be absurd, it was just misjudged. The bottom line? There was no real problem to solve. It was just a subscription for the sake of having a subscription. Case 2. Juicero, the $700 internet-connected juicer. Juicero was a $700 internet-connected juicer. Here's how it worked. You'd buy proprietary juice packets filled with chopped fruits and vegetables. The machine would scan the packet's barcode, verify it online, and then squeeze it for you. Investors poured more than $120 million into the company. But then journalists testing the product made an embarrassing discovery. The juice packets could be squeezed perfectly fine by hand. There was no need for the machine. No need for software. No need for an internet connection. The juice came out exactly the same whether you use the expensive machine or just your hands. That revelation changed everything. In early 2017, Juicero slashed the price from $700 to $400. The CEO stepped down, and by the end of that year, the company shut down completely. The entire business model was built around the concept of subscription locked packets. Without that, it made no sense. Case 3, Nuuly Castle, clothing as a subscription. Now we get to my favorite, renting clothes as a subscription service. A company called Nuuly, formerly known as Castle, was founded in 2011 by Christine Hunziker. The pitch was simple. Instead of buying clothes, customers would rent them through a monthly subscription. Wear them for a while, send them back. Get something new. For a time, the story looked impressive. Big partnerships, big revenue numbers, a model that seemed to print money. But in early 2025, reports started surfacing that cash was running tight. Behind the scenes, revenue figures had allegedly been inflated. The financials were impossibly murky. Then the situation took a serious turn. Federal prosecutors charged Christine Hunziker with orchestrating a $300 million fraud scheme. A subscription service for renting clothes should have been a terrible idea from the start. But investors just couldn't resist recurring revenue, even when it turned out to be built on fraud. Case 4, HP Instant Ink, printers that hold you hostage. Printers might be the clearest example of enshittification at work. HP's Instant Ink program offers discounted ink through a subscription. Sounds reasonable at first, but here's the catch. If you cancel that subscription, your printer stops functioning, even when there's still ink left in the cartridge. HP has also used firmware updates to block third-party cartridges, disabling cheaper alternatives after you've already purchased the printer. Something that used to be straightforward, buying a printer and using it, now depends on maintaining an active subscription. To users, it feels like paying twice, once for the hardware and again for permission to keep using it. Case 5, subscription sewing machines. This one is just bizarre. A company called Janame ships sewing machines with features locked behind subscriptions. The hardware is fully capable, but access to advanced stitches, embroidery patterns, or software tools requires monthly fees. It's a sewing machine. Traditionally, they've worked the same way for decades. You buy one, learn it, and it stays useful. But now usefulness depends on an active subscription. Case 6, MyQ, subscription. Garage doors. How about garage doors? MyQ is a connected platform that links your garage door opener to your phone. You can open and close the door remotely, check its status, and integrate it with smart home systems. Sounds useful, right? Except users quickly pointed out that a simple smart relay box paired with a free app could do exactly the same thing. No subscription required. By this point, the pattern is clear. For many products, access is now dependent on continuous payment. Customers feel like second-class citizens being milked for cash while shareholders celebrate. Case 7, Adobe, the master of dark patterns. Adobe might be the most notorious example of subscription abuse. In 2024, the Department of Justice and FTC accused Adobe of harming consumers through deceptive subscription practices. Here's what happened. When you sign up for a monthly Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, you're actually agreeing to a year-long commitment. If you want to cancel early, you get hit with an early termination fee that can reach hundreds of dollars. According to the complaint, Adobe only clearly discloses this fee when you actually try to cancel, turning it into a powerful retention trap. The terms are buried in fine print, wash it behind optional text boxes and hyperlinks. The FTC argued these disclosures were intentionally designed to go unnoticed. Adobe is a textbook case of a broader problem. The path into a subscription is smooth and easy, but the path out is deliberately complicated. The psychology behind it. There's actually a term for this. Dark patterns. The phrase was coined by UX designer Harry Brignall. It describes interface designs that quietly push people toward decisions they didn't fully intend to make. Choices that benefit the business rather than the user. These designs rarely look outright malicious. They exist in a gray area between persuasion and manipulation. Common tactics include price framing that makes monthly costs look tiny, artificial urgency and scarcity, FOMO-driven messaging, drip pricing that hides the true cost, guilt-based language when you try to cancel. No single trick does the heavy lifting. It's the combination that steers behavior. Over time, the subscription economy becomes a constant layer of small psychological nudges, all designed to benefit companies at the expense of customers. The pushback. So what now? How do we fix this? A real pushback has started to emerge. Regulatory efforts. In the United States, regulators have been pushing for a click-to-cancel rule designed to make ending subscriptions easier. But the rule was blocked by a federal court, delaying its rollout and exposing just how contested this space has become. It raises a bigger question. Will regulation actually slow this down, or will companies just find new loopholes? Consumer rebellion. Consumers aren't waiting for lawmakers. They've already started adapting on their own, and this next trend is significant. Piracy is absolutely surging right now. People are fed up, and they've stopped caring about the moral arguments. In their view, if companies are going to nickel and dime them into oblivion, piracy becomes a form of protest. Beyond that, password sharing has become ubiquitous. Account splitting, bundling services together just to make the cost feel tolerable. Online, frustration spills out across Reddit threads and social media. These quiet boycotts don't always make headlines, but they're shaping behavior at scale. If enough people push back, some of these companies will lose money. Ain't that might force reflection from the worst actors? Or better yet, create openings for fairer competitors. The bigger picture. At its inception, subscriptions were sold as a convenience, and for a while they were. But convenience has a cost. The question isn't whether subscriptions are inherently good or bad. In some cases, they genuinely make sense. The real issue is what subscriptions are replacing. The fundamental concept of ownership. They're transferring control away from consumers and handing it to corporations. If enough people speak out, if enough customers vote with their wallets, we might eventually see a fairer playing field. Conclusion. So here's where we stand. Subscriptions have gone from a reasonable business model to an inescapable layer of modern life. Companies have pushed the boundaries so far that even sewing machines and garage doors now require monthly payments. The model isn't going away, but the backlash is real and it's growing. Whether through regulation, consumer rebellion, or simple market correction, something will eventually have to give. What's your take on all this? Are subscriptions out of control, or is this just the cost of convenience? Let me know in the comments. If you found this breakdown valuable, consider subscribing to Modern Magnets.